So, we continue to pursue the human who escaped from Qo'Nos prison's custody. This man's dressed all in black with blonde hair and a facial scar, and he seems to know a lot about the internal workings of the Klingon Empire. And in a time where we are at war with Starfleet, well, that's a major risk. Fortunately, we uncovered a major security threat, the presence of an entire Federation spy installation underneath the first city of Qo'Nos. We stormed that place and ended its peering into our affairs, but the human got away again. Now beaming to the IKS Kos'Karii, our ship, we continue our pursuit.
I'm disappointed he was able to get off Qo'Nos, but not surprised. He's a slippery one. Do what you need to do to bring him back. You have his warp trail, so I begin with that.
So we know about the shuttle he took, and the Orion who sold it to him gave us its warp signature, so pursuing him is going to be easy. I doubt he's had time to mask his trail. Despite his unflappable calm, we are only minutes behind him and he is on the run. However, this Boreth-class bird of prey can only reach warp 5.55. Seriously, I love the iconic look, but I'd forgotten what it feels like to have such a low-speed vessel 125 episodes into my Let's Play series.
From the heart of Qo'Nos to the frozen wastes of Rura Penthe, Klingons have built an empire that values strength, honor, and skill in combat. To be Klingon is to be a warrior. Fight well, live with honor, die with a blade in your hand. If you can do these things, you will live forever in the stories and songs of the Empire.
We relentlessly follow the trail of our quarry, crossing the expansive Empire territories deep into the Beta Quadrant. Our trail is fresh. Although lengthy, it terminates at the solar system well known to the Klingons, the system of Boreth.
Captain, the warp trail ends here. What are your orders?
We can choose to scan every inch of the system, which is time-consuming, or we can be brazen and simply open a broadcast and declare our intent and presence to hopefully rattle him into making a mistake. Both are long shots.
Opening hailing frequencies. If he's out there, he'll hear it.
Captain, I recommend modifying the navigational beacons in this system to amplify our efforts in locating the prisoner.
So, while we're doing that task, let's talk Boreth. Quite simply, it is a holy site to the Klingons. The planet here has at least one temple on its surface that shelters above the lava flows embedded atop a mountain against a blizzardly snowfall. But why this system? Well, towards the end of his life, after he had conquered Molor, slew hordes of Herc and Fakiri, and rescued his own father from the hells of Grathor, Kalis gathered his possessions and left his town, but he was followed. He turned to the crowds who did not want to see him depart, and confessed his plan to pass on over to Sto-vo-kor, to pass on from this world. He then pointed to a star in the night sky and said, "Look for me there on that point of light." That star was the Boreth system, and so it became a holy place for the Klingons, and when they managed to develop warp flight, it was one of the first places they went to. In this system, they found a planet that, although harsh, had a breathable atmosphere, and so they set up their vigil for the return of Kalis.
Beacon modified. Nothing yet. We should modify another beacon.
Within these halls of the temple are meditation chambers where Klingons can observe days of concentration with no food and water to reveal visions from their ancestors, or if they're lucky, the spirit of Kalis himself will greet them with advice.
Got him! Establishing a communication link now.
You? I am impressed. I thought Doran was the right choice for command, but apparently even I can be wrong. The KDF will do well with you in their ranks. You have the tenacity of a rabid targ.
We've located our target. Cut the flattery and cut your engines.
As much as I might deserve to rot in a Klingon jail cell and be interrogated to within an inch of my life on a daily basis, I have unfinished business. It's time I was going.
Hey man, you only need one hit point. He seems to be insinuating that he orchestrated the coup that put me in command. Or at least he attempted to put Doran in command first. We need answers, and we're not giving up.
I don't doubt that you would. However, I always have an escape plan. I've planted a tiny subroutine in all Starfleet computers. If any vessel arrives in the Boreth system, their sensors will pick up distress beacons from dozens of destroyed Starfleet starships. In addition, when we started this conversation, I sent out a few false maydays from these phantom vessels. Ships are already responding. You've proven yourself to be a skilled warrior already, so I'm sure you know that Kayla said it was acceptable to lose a battle to save an empire, or a ship. I suggest you leave before Starfleet arrives.
I might consider leaving, except...
Captain, we're being hailed by one of the Starfleet vessels.
Put them on screen.
Klingon bird of prey, power down your weapons and shields, and prepare to be boarded.
Ooh, Klingon warriors known for melee combat. Lower your shields and let us come meet you face to face. Also, I'm not going to surrender. Pretty dumb for a Vulcan.
Our sensors are detecting several Federation distress beacons in this area. This trap is obviously your handiwork. Surrender now, or we will be forced to open fire.
We can further insult his intellect, or we can state that if he wants to hear distress signals, he can start with his own. I like that. Plus, his blustering has brought us time to cloak, so now the first strike is for us. We close in on 2 Federation frigates that have entered the system. One is a Centaur class and the other is a Shikar. I don't know which one hailed us, but we have destroyed both such vessels before, so this will be no challenge again. This Federation prisoner has confessed to manipulating his own forces and throwing them at us in an attempt to buy time. A coward's tactic, and one that is going to cost his own side much blood today.
Another Starfleet vessel has entered the system.
Attention, Klingon ships. We are here on a rescue operation.
Oh, the poor fools, being thrown into a literally pointless fight by the treachery of their own. We close in to see a slightly more troublesome sight, a Presidio-class cruiser. These vessels are one of 3 similarly framed designs, the sleeker model more focused on speed and attack. By 2409 it seems Starfleet still clings to the notion that they don't make warships, but I know a shark when I see one. We swing in behind the Presidio, still cloaked and moving unobserved.
We wish to resolve this, but we will defend ourselves if we must.
Starfleet vessels tend to use phaser beam arrays, which are less powerful than cannons, but the arrangement and placement means that they have a wider firing arc than stationary cannons, such as those found on a Boreth or Defiant. Fortunately, our initial salvo from cloak seems to have done a lot of damage.
Captain, there's another contact on the scanners. How many ships did Starfleet have in our sector?
3 more smaller ships warp in, Centaur-class frigates, all of them, and it seems the UFP takes rescue operations very seriously, and had they all arrived at once, well, they may have posed a problem. Starfleet vessels tend to use phaser beam arrays, which are less powerful than cannons, but the arrangement and placement means that they have a wider firing arc than stationary cannons, such as those found on this Boreth or a Defiant. It means that in a simple slugfest, most Klingon ships will win if the 2 combatants are just trading blows. All this destruction, although glorious, was a waste on Starfleet's part. There's nothing here for them but death, and that's not intimidation, just truth.
We're ready to leave the system on your command.
So, this human we are chasing has taken huge steps to evade capture, even throwing his own forces against us to cover his escape. However, this encounter has informed us a lot. He is not Starfleet intelligence, or he need not have been so clandestine in calling for aid. There was a person here that could have benefited from an actual Federation extraction or rescue, and that was him, but he chose not to. So clearly, he does not wish to be caught or witnessed by his own side. I think he's Section 31.
It is unfortunate that the prisoner has eluded your search. That said, you did uncover a Federation spy nest in the heart of First City. We've deciphered their infiltration techniques and are cracking down on their spy network within the Empire. One of my prison guards was impressed with your tenacity and asked to be reassigned to your crew. You would be wise to accept it.
We spent the next few hours picking up our new recruit, a Gorn named Thrak. In the meantime, Qo'Nos security has made some progress in decrypting the remaining Federation files we uncovered. Although there was little left, the Warden has discovered something.
We have identified the Federation prisoner you've been chasing. His name is Franklin Drake. Some of our sources say he's a Starfleet intelligence agent, but there are hints that he's much more. From what I can tell, he's not part of the normal chain of command. Previously, we didn't have any images or genetic samples from him, which is why he was so hard to identify. Now, we'll be on him the second he shows his face again. We already have a lead for you to follow. Records indicate a Klingon shuttle entered space above the Rura Penthe penal colony. That system is restricted, and there was no traffic scheduled for today. You are authorized by the High Council to approach the system and determine if Drake is there. Bring him back alive, if you can.
So, our suspicions seem correct. Section 31 is near mythological even within the Federation, so to those powers outside of it, like the Klingon Empire, well, I presume they would not really know much about it, but probably be unsurprised by its existence. Now, what strikes me as odd about this mission is how different it feels if you look at it from a Federation point of view. Drake literally just falsified sensor data and lured 6 Federation vessels to their deaths. Even if we hadn't been there, Boreth is an aggressively defended system, something that I wish this mission showed more of. So in one day, Franklin Drake practically lured an entire Starfleet wing into a situation they were unprepared for, using Starfleet's priority of saving lives as bait. He probably has intelligence or information that he deems far too important to let fall into the Empire's hands, or is on a mission that he feels will be worth the cost. But playing the Klingons' point of view, well, it does a good job so far of showing the reprehensible side of Starfleet. Our first mission was to deal with our own traitorous captain, and now our next objective is to hunt down effectively another who is skirting the dishonourable line of being a traitor to their own.
This is Warden Cryptic of the Rura Penthe penal colony. You do not have authorization to land. Turn back now. Any attempt to violate our security perimeter will be met with force.
Our authorization comes from Chancellor Jimpak himself. It is unwise to stand in the way of his representatives. Unless, of course, you'd like to become a resident of your own prison.
My apologies, Kalekanes. I am honored to meet you. What do representatives of the High Council seek at Rura Penthe?
Warden Cryptic, we pursue a Federation fugitive that may have entered this system.
There are no Federation corps on Rura Penthe. Are you aware enemies of the Empire should be killed, not fed and coddled like infants?
It appears the spy is as good at getting into prisons as he is at escaping them. Check your sensor logs, Warden. He is here, somewhere.
Our security logs are checked every quarter hour as per regulations. There have been no transfers in or out of the colony within the last day. Only 2 ships have entered the system today. Yours and a Klingon shuttle. The shuttle left the system hours ago. You are still here.
What's with this guy?
Your arrogance is tiresome, Warden. Produce your sensor logs at once.
Our logs clearly indicate the shuttle left the system hours ago. And there have been no transfers. All prisoners in this colony are either accounted for or dead. Your trail has gone cold.
No, I don't give up that easily, Warden. If you are too preoccupied coddling your infants, as you put it, I will do your job for you and uncover a Federation spy.
Ready to beam down on your command, Captain. There is a magnetic field covering the entire penal colony to prevent prisoners from escaping via transporter. We'll have to beam down to the outskirts of the magnetic field and walk to the entrance.
So I'm not going to spend too long talking about Rura Penthe, as I have a video dedicated to it coming up later this week. Suffice to say, it is lethally cold down there, and the prisoners are forced to work the dilithium mines. It does not have the long and illustrious history of worlds such as Qo'Nos or Boreth, but it is a well-guarded planet nonetheless. One thing to note is how the Klingons treat their enemies of war. As the Warden said, Starfleet is to be killed in combat, not taken prisoner. To a Klingon, this is the more humane thing to do, as being slain in combat is one of the most honourable ways to go, and rotting in prison, even to be bartered and exchanged, was seen as insulting, even if it is necessary at times. The only exceptions appear to be those exchanges or prisoners for tactical advantage and intel gathering.
Halt! Where do you think you are going?
Through you?
You may have crossed the magnetic shield, but your visit is unannounced, and you will follow protocol. No one simply wanders around this prison. I will escort you to the Warden.
Very well. Lead on then, guard.
You will follow me.
So, the people here are prisoners not of war, but for crimes, and among them is a spy, but for what reason? His pit stop at Boreth might have simply been a tactic to buy time, and his true goal Rura Penthe from the start.
Warden, the visitors are here.
I can see them, Rogas!
Yeah, Rogaz, stop being such a suck-up. Warden Krotuk, I am here to find our human.
Your presence here is unnecessary. The only Federation citizens on Rura Penthe are frozen into the ice. But don't let me dissuade you from your manhunt.
You said the name of the episode. So, here's an idea. How about you actually order your guards to search the facility?
My guards will stay where they are. If there was a breach, it would have tripped the alarms. Our security system is quite advanced. This is a prison, after all. But please, examine the security system for yourself. If you refuse to accept the word of the prison's warden, that is.
Yeah, I do refuse to accept your word, because I don't know you, your name, or your achievements. I will find him.
You dare to question the honor of a warrior of the House of Torg? You may be representatives of Jempak, but you'll taste my blade if you insult me again. Go, see for yourself. You'll only find the Patak dumped here to rot.
Follow me to the general holding area.
Shut up, Rogaz. House Torg. Allied to Jempok and contentious with Jempok's adversarial houses, Torg was formerly allied with House Duras, and Gerard of House Duras was adopted into House Torg after the death of Lursa and Beitor in 2371. And in 2392, Gerard served on the IKS Kang under Captain Claw, who he had severe disagreements with. And then back in 2395, Gerard of Torg was jumped by 3 Klingons. He defeated them, but he discovered that they were in fact Species 8472 infiltrators. Now, as a reminder, this gradual infiltration was the major component in escalating the Klingon-Gorn War, and later the fallout with Starfleet. I've done a video covering that too. House Torg then allied with House Duras and both backed Jumpark. This, combined with House Torg's long heritage, which has ties to former emperors, made House Torg a rather well-respected name in recent history. Suffice to say, this warden is leveraging his house's reputation as his own to cover his laziness and, as we will later uncover, his corruption. We are presented with a jackal mastiff to help us in our search. It will act as a loyal guard for us among the prisoners, and we can use it to track the human's scent should he flee. I don't know what to call him, so suggest names in the comments below, I guess.
Interrogate the prisoners, Captain. One of them may have spotted the fugitive.
So, as we set foot into the prison proper, I shall have to leave it here for this episode. Next time we find our elusive Franklin Drake and learn what exactly he is up to before playing right into his hands. And there was a lot of lore that I wanted to bring to light first. Klingon houses. It's all deals, debts and honour. Again, another thing that was important to highlight before the next part. So, thank you for watching the Klingon side of the ever-expanding storyline of Star Trek Online. I've been Rick, and I hope to see you next time as we reunite with an old adversary and a new old friend. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, Qapla'.